anti-Semitism. Let's take a global look. Hello, I'm Amy Zawi with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, August 17. In Canada last Wednesday, demonstrations occurred across the nation. Anti-Israel activists slammed Zionists following the assassination of a notorious terrorist, Ibrahim al-Nabulsi, calling for Palestinians, including Palestinian-Canadian youth, to follow in this terrorist's footsteps. The shocking display of love for a brutal terrorist with the blood of innocent civilians on his hands in major Canadian cities last week should not only alarm the Jewish community, but Canadians and Americans in general. The head of the al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade was killed during an Israeli military raid in the Palestinian Authority-controlled city of Nablus in Samaria last Tuesday morning. These calls for rallies echoed across Canada, including in Montreal and other North American locales. The groups Solidarity for Palestinian Human Rights McGill and Solidarity for Palestinian Human Rights Concordia are listed as being among the local co-sponsors of the, quote, Glory to Our Martyrs rallies, the first of which was held last Wednesday evening in Montreal. Similar rallies cropped up in Vancouver, Toronto, Los Angeles, and Houston over the past week. Across the pond in London, a continuing echo to rally against Zionism and Zionists happened last week. Protest signage included Stop the Judaization of Jerusalem in Britain, Europe, Ukraine, and USA, and Zionists Go Home. The protest was referred to as a rally for Palestine and organized by the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, according to its own website. These events were also in response to last week's three-day-long Operation Breaking Dawn. In response to the chants, Zionists Go Home, one Twitter user observed that they're, quote, telling Zionists to go home. Doesn't that kind of make them Zionists too? Another Twitter user said that the chant was the best self-defeating slogan he'd seen. Beyond these most recent responses to the events in Israel and Gaza, the University of Melbourne, the student union there, didn't take their last defeated anti-Semitic motion and let it die a final death. They resurrected it with more vigor. Earlier this year, the University of Melbourne Student Union passed an anti-Semitic pro-terrorism motion, but rescinded it after being faced with the threat of a legal action lawsuit by non-Jewish student Justin Ryatsi. I reported on this early this year. The motion was geared up for round 2, and this new anti-Semitic motion that's even worse than the original was presented and passed on August 15th. In fear of this motion that passed, one Jewish student noted that he was afraid to reveal he was even Jewish. To quote him, quote, "It's not fair that I have to hide who I am." Stateside in Chicago, Illinois, a DePaul University professor, he printed an article claiming Israel's moral right to annex the West Bank. And this caused quite an uproar at DePaul, and he was met with backlash and calls for censure. The shocking part of this is that the call was met with actual consideration. A DePaul student organization immediately put together a Change.org petition demanding a public apology and asking that the administration censor Hill and send him to racial sensitivity training. Meanwhile, in Indiana, the StopAntisemitism.org site releases an Anti-Semite of the Week post on its profiles, noting Tareen Webb, a longtime anti-Israel activist, was recently hired by Indiana University as Associate Director of the Center for Study of Global Change. Webb has promoted vile anti-Semitism and repeatedly dismissed or minimized concerns regarding the hatred and discrimination that Jews face. Webb also outlandishly blames Jews for the white supremacist movement, stating, quote, "It has been long the case that American Jews have been a crucial building block of the white supremacist infrastructure." His attempt to label Israelis as white and Palestinians as brown ignores the reality that the majority of Jews in Israel are Mitzri, or of Sephardic descent, and they're brown. So one professor who supports an Israeli position is met with nearly 50% of the college community considering disciplining him, and another outright anti-Semite gets a leadership position. The scales seem a bit tilted. While much of my reporting regarding anti-Semitism finds violence and hostility in cities such as New York City and Los Angeles, the Midwest is not without its progressive woke anti-Semites in the classroom or in the quad, unfortunately. Please be sharing news reports to your network so that they are aware of anti-Semitism and that it's alive and well in our civilized society. All too often I hear otherwise educated and functioning adults tell me they had no idea anti-Semitism was still a problem after World War II. Be praying for this tide to shift, and pray for the students and professors who are burdened by these anti-Zionist and anti-Semitic elements on campus. Pray for cities that have anti-Semitism thriving in their streets. Be the voice of truth where, when, and how you can, and share it when you encounter these reports and events. Shavua Tov, and have a great